Alright guys, so welcome to the first annual end of season awards. There's quite a few to go with. So there was a couple categories that I chose this year. Just something that's never been done, but wanted to recognize certain things that happened this season, kind of to recap now that the regular season is now over. So there's a couple different categories I put into play here. Best draft pick of the year. So, that's pretty self-explanatory. The person who did the best draft pick, whether it's in the first, second, or 15th round. Worst draft pick of the year. That's another category, and there are a lot of different options to choose from. Best overall draft, and then worst overall draft. And then from there, we do best waiver wire pickup of the year. Doing the most with the least award. So that means the team that got the most out of the team that really, I guess, wasn't expected to go that far. I know for some of you that probably might not sound like you. Doing the least with the most award. Now that's the other end of that. Thinking you had a pretty solid foundation, but you just didn't keep it up, and because of that, you may not be where you want to be. Luckiest manager of the year. Pretty self-explanatory. Unluckiest manager of the year, again. Best trade of the year. Prove the most as a manager. Award of the year. So just as a manager, you prove the most. Kind of prove the haters wrong, the doubters wrong. The Sustained Success Award. Now that is the only award out of these awards that is that goes from years past. Basically you put a solid run together of a couple of years of solid play, making playoffs. 3 years in a row, something like that. Overall manager of the year this year, and then last but not least, the team of the year. So let's just start from the beginning with the best draft pick of the year. So for me, there was a couple different nominees. The best nominees I got were Robbie Anderson, picked by Dr. Davidson. I believe he floated to Joey's team at some point. I'm not sure how, and then went back to Dr. Davidson via trade. So I'm going to give Dr. Davidson credit with the draft pick. Zach Ertz, picked by my dad. That was definitely by far his best pick. Todd Gurley by Maggie. And last but not least, Mark Ingram by Kyle's team. But the winner, I'm going to give the best draft pick award will go to Maggie for picking Todd Gurley. He's just been the number one running back this year. He's probably picked the 10th or 11th or 12th running back chosen. So I think that was a pretty easy one. Worst draft pick of the year. Now this one is a little bit tough. A couple different nominees for this one. Jay Ajayi by Rashab. Between the trade and his role with Philly and just what he was doing in Miami, just really hasn't gotten going. Devonta Freeman by Ryan. Kind of unsurprising. Devonta Freeman's been solid, not spectacular, but just based off where he was chosen and what he could have had, that is why I put him on this list. Jordan Reed by Joey. I thought it was a reach when it happened, but just based off the year that he's had, Jordan Reed really hasn't done anything at all. And again, worst draft pick of the year does not normally it's not supposed to be an injured player. For example, David Johnson, he got hurt week 1. I'm not going to penalize you for that. Although Jordan Reed Jordan Reed did make the list because although he's missed like the last 5 games or so, besides one game at Philly, he really didn't do anything the whole year. And the last nominee for worst draft pick of the year was Terrell Pryor to Julian. And the winner of the award, to be honest, I would give it to Terrell Pryor, but because he was a third-round pick, third-round picks flame out all the time. The worst draft pick of the year, I'm actually going to give to Ryan, Devonta Freeman. And the reason I'm going to do that is because Devonta Freeman was a part of a trade that he sent over to get Antonio Brown. He sent two other players. I believe it was him, Carlos Hyde, and Adam Thielen, who could be a nominee for the best draft pick of the year also. Um, he sent all three of those guys for basically Antonio Brown and Jimmy Graham. But, I mean, Jimmy Graham was like the least out of all those. So just the fact that he could have had Antonio Brown in combination with the rest of the team that he had, that's why Devonta Freeman is getting the worst draft pick of the year. Best overall draft. This one was hard to do. I think the clear-cut nominees were probably myself and Maggie. Maggie definitely had the best team, draft day. I thought, she got, the best draft pick of the year. Like I said, Todd Gurley. Then she got Leonard Fournette in the third. None of her picks, Julio, he didn't really live up to expectations, but, he didn't flame either. I mean, Maggie from top to bottom, even her bench, getting people like Aguilar down at the bottom, Jonathan Stewart at the bottom, pretty solid job. And myself, nothing really spectacular, but, just solid draft picks, first pick, Mike Evans, he's kind of disappointing, but, he's still there. They still got to figure out what he's about. Jordan Howard, he's kind of where you picked him at. Keenan Allen, that was a good pick. Devontae Adams, that was a good pick. Drew Brees wasn't, but, top to bottom, and just thinking about where my team is now, whatever. But I think the best draft would have to go to Maggie as well. Okay. Worst overall draft. Now, I think this one is going to have to go to Rashad, just because Jay was a bad pick. One person that I really should have put on there for worst draft pick was also Amari Cooper. That was his second pick. And then his third pick was Marshawn Lynch, who really, he's all right, but who didn't do that well. Tyreek Hill was definitely his best draft pick. But just overall, we needed a lot more from Rashad here. So I'm going to give him the worst draft. The other nominee for that was Brian, actually. Brian's draft was not good, but we'll hear about that from later. Best waiver wire pickup of the year. So to me, there was really only two nominees that stood out for this award, and then there's really one clear-cut winner. So the nominees were Deshaun Watson, picked up by Dean, and then the other one was Alvin Kamara by Julian. And the clear winner for that is Alvin Kamara, just based off what he's done. I believe he's number 2 for the season in running backs, as hard as that is to believe. It's pretty incredible. So that's goes to Julian. Doing the most with the least award. To me, I think I have to give this to, there's two nominees, two managers who I thought about for this award, between Brian and Dean again. But I have to give it to Brian, just because, Brian made the playoffs, and the team that he drafted, you think about it, first pick, Jordy Nelson. He basically flamed out as soon as Aaron Rodgers died. DeMarco Murray hasn't been that good. Who else? DeAndre Hopkins, he traded away. Fourth pick. I don't have all the picks in front of me, but really not that much. But Brian did have a couple. Did have the quarterback, and he traded away Kelsey too. The quarterback, Cousins, he did his thing, but overall, the person I'm most surprised to be where they're at today is definitely Brian, and he definitely grinded. Got defense, picked up good kickers, did all that stuff he needed to do, and with a little bit of luck, he got to where he is today. Doing the least with the most award. Now, this one is different. This is me kind of calling you out, saying, I thought you had a good team. I feel like if you paid a little bit more attention, did a little bit more, your team could have been somewhere, done some things. And to be honest, the two nominees for this one is going to be my dad and Andre. I think both of you had teams that were definitely capable of making the playoffs. Andre ran into a little bit of bad luck. I think points against Andre was pretty high. But I think I have to give this award to my dad, because I think about it. He had Ty Montgomery to start the year. He was doing well. He could have Got Aaron Jones when he needed to. He could have got Jamal Williams. He had Lamar Miller. That was a kind of a bad trade to me. He traded for Powell and Garcon. He had Zach Ertz. Matt Ryan didn't live up to expectations, but he had Dak, who was doing okay. And then he had a solid receiving core. Michael Thomas, he wasn't that great, but him and AJ Green, that's pretty good. I thought Dad's team could have did more this year, so I'm gonna put that on him. Luckiest Manager of the Year award. I think the two nominees for that is myself and Brian, and I'm actually, instead of giving this to Brian, I'm gonna actually give this to myself because I just think of a lot of different ways where my season could have turned the other way. All my matchups, the first 3 weeks were down to the wire. Rashad week 1, I had to get a Keenan Allen touchdown on Monday night. Week 2, Devontae Adams, I was down 8 points. Within 10 minutes of the game, I was still down 4 points. And I had Devontae Adams versus Andre. Devontae Adams pulls it out. Week 3, I could have easily lost to my dad. Week 4, I think was Dean. I don't remember, but it seemed like every week I was winning by 10 points or less. And I never really had that one week where my team blew up. My team was, had a high floor, but the ceiling just never really reached to where I thought it could have went this year. So I'll give myself the Luckiest Manager of the Year award. Now, Unluckiest Manager of the Year award, I think I definitely have to give this. It's between two nominees, between Ryan, just based off the start he had. And, the Kansas City offense kind of dying as his team kind of died. And also Dean. And I think I have to give this to Dean. Dean because, 3 of his first 4 picks, he revamped his roster. And the revamp got hurt, too. He got Will Fuller, Deshaun Watson. That's just, to me, that's kind of unfathomable. But Ryan, he definitely is a close runner-up. I thought he had a good team. The second half of the schedule really turned to be a lot to overcome. It was kind of hard to pick between his QB week to week, and I don't know. There are just a lot of variables that happened. Best trade of the year. Best trade of the year, I'm going to give to Julian. He got DeAndre Hopkins from Brian, from Mike Gillislee. And there was some other stuff in between, some defenses and some kickers. At the time, it was a very fair trade. Put it this way. DeAndre Hopkins had 0 touchdowns. Was getting mad targets, but the Houston offense was kind of standstill. So, as soon as that trade happened, DeAndre Hopkins just went up and Mike Gillislee just went down. So, that's just kind of how it can go sometimes. But Julian definitely made the trade of the year in that regard. Proved the most this year, to me, personally, in terms of what they did. And to be honest, as a manager, you proved the most. I thought this award should no doubtedly go to Dean, just based off, week 1, you lose. Week 1, you lose David Johnson, you lose Allen Robinson. That's 2 of your top 3 or 4 picks. Then you lose Aaron Rodgers. Then you pick up the number 1 quarterback in the league sitting on waivers, Deshaun Watson. Then he gets hurt in practice. Will Fuller. There was a week Dean put up like 150, and I was like, Dean's team started off horribly, and looking at it, he could actually come back in this thing. Lately, he was still grinding away. He got McKinnon when he was hot. He got some other guys. Dean, we've questioned him in the past about some trades and stuff, but this year it was clean. He really did. He really did a lot for what he had. He still had a couple bad draft picks. Martavis Bryant comes to mind. Christian McCaffrey kind of ended up being all right. So at the time I didn't like it, but it was all right. So anyways, Dean, congrats on that. The Sustained Success Award, I'm going to give that to Dr. Davidson. He won the championship last year, had the best team last year. This year, wasn't really thinking his team was going to go that far. I mean, I know he had Le'Veon, he had Tom Brady, but didn't really like all the stuff he had around it. Didn't like the receiving core. But like I said, picking up guys like Robbie Anderson, Jarvis Landry's played better than I thought. Stephon Diggs, I thought his receiving core coming into the season would be garbage, but, it's anything but. And then he picked up Chris Thompson, and then he has the Perrine. He got the Redskins covered. I think it's another great season with Dr. Davidson, and he has another shot to win it all again. And we still haven't had a two-time winner in the league. So, he's looking at history, potentially. Manager of the year. So this kind of combines in all the factors. You may not have the best draft. You may not have the best draft pick. You may not have the best waiver pick. But just overall, I just think this person did a good job. And I think the easy answer would be to give it to Julian because he has the best team, no unquestioned, the best record. But Julian, there's a Team of the Year award, which is not to give it away, but he may be getting that award. So I'm going to give the Manager of the Year award to. Actually, I'm going to give it to myself. I know that's kind of egotistic or whatever you want to call it, but I'm going to give it to myself just because my team really and truly wasn't that, on paper, wasn't that daunting coming in. Bilal Powell was my number 2 running back, did a trade, so I got a real good trade, him and Garcon, to get Lamar Miller. Picked up Latavius Murray, who looked horrible at the beginning, but he's kind of leveled out, looked good. Rex Burkhead I drafted, got rid of. Brian got him, then picked him back up. Picked up Juju Smith-Schuster. Picked up, who else? Defenses. That's the one thing with me. I'm always grinding on defense, getting defenses maybe a week or two in advance, and I think weekly totals in defense, I'm probably up there near the top, but probably next to Julian because he has Jacksonville defense. And just the draft was pretty solid. Got Jordan Howard. He's been okay. Mike Evans been but he's been all right. Keenan Allen was a good pick. Devontae Adams. Delaney Walker has been pretty good. So for that reason, I'll give myself the Manager of the Year. And the Team of the Year, to me, unquestionably goes to Julian. Julian drafted pretty well besides Terrell Pryor. That was really the only hiccup I could say. And Tyler Eifert, that was the only other one. When me and Julian had a chance to get Zach Ertz, but we collectively took Tyler Eifert and Delaney Walker in front of him. But, picking up Kamara, having Zeke playing, the Zeke thing happened and this team's still going without a hiccup, at least right now. Not having a real QB, trade him for one. He gave up a little pick, but, Safarian Jenkins held him down for a while. He's just done a real good job, and I think Julian has done. His team has scored more points than any team has ever scored in this league, average-wise for the whole season. He's scoring more than anybody in a 10-team league that we're in. So you really have to give your hat out to him and what he's done this year. So yeah, there again, those are the awards for this year. And last PS, the last but not least award I'll give out is the one who's always in your DMs award. And I think we know who's going to get that. That's going to be going to Joey. Because, Joey, call it the Gruden grinder, whatever you want to call it. He's always looking to get value off everything he has, whether or not you think it's ridiculous or not. Joey, he must have, 10 draft picks in the first 7 rounds next year, probably. I don't know, but it seems that way. So Joey, he was out of it pretty early, and he did the most, and he tried to. Despite that, he was still being competitive. He beat Kyle this week. If only I'd won my matchup, I'd be looking at a first round bye. But anyways, that's how it happens sometimes. So that being said, I hope you enjoyed this in-season awards, and good luck for the playoffs.